Welcome back. You're still watching the PolitBureau with me, Aldrin St-Pierre. The link between money and ANC conferences is nothing new. The ANC too knows this, although in its Through the Eye of the Needle document, it does not explicitly mention money in politics. Paragraph 49 of that document reads that government positions also go hand in hand with the possibility to issue contracts to commercial companies. Some of these companies identify ANC members that they can promote in ANC structures and into government so that they can get contracts by hook or by crook. This is done through media networks to discredit other leaders, or even by buying membership cards to set up branches that are ANC only in name. Political analyst Xola Ntube, as well as Professor Sipho Siepe, join me now for this discussion. If this is nothing new, why are we still here?
I think that the main worry here is about the fact that the ANC is being used by certain people within the organization as well as the external forces as a Trojan horse in order to annex or to scramble the resources of our country. And so it's supposed to be a very worrying issue when the external forces or the multinational companies can capture an ANC president because they know that investing to that particular individual, they are investing into the future, rather than for the ANC members to do or to be directed by the conviction and the historical mission of the organization. And then I think that these funders, to a certain extent, they aim to twist the historical mission of the ANC, because the ANC is known to be representing the poor, the downtrodden. But if you look for the past 25 years, the people who are always at the receiving end are those that the ANC is supposed to be representing.
But donations to parties is nothing new. That's the thing. And the point that I was making this morning as well is that even during the liberation struggle, for instance, where did the ANC get money from?
Look, we need to understand that we are living in an open democracy.
Yeah.
And now ANC is in government. It operates under democracy. As us, as people of South Africa, and especially those who vote for the ANC, I think it is fair for them to know who are their competitors, because at the end of the day, they are competitors in terms of policy and in terms of the direction of our country, mainly about the redistribution or the distribution of our wealth, and also about who is really commanding the direction when it comes to the policy economy of the ANC, because we know once you capture the policy of the ANC, you capture the direction of the country's economy. And so I think that is the contestation. And so if the ANC members are saying, look, we will open up to anyone who can fund anyone who is willing to contest. And so I think that will make the ANC to be very vulnerable, because, look, we are a country, after 25 years, if we have not developed the so-called national patriotic bourgeoisie, who can really fund individuals within the ANC for a national cause that is good to the people of South Africa, it shows that the transition that happened in 1994 was just a fallacy. We have not created people really who can tap to the historical apartheid economy and twist it in order to suit the historically dispossessed.
Professor Siepe, that paragraph that I just read now, paragraph 49 in that document, The Eye of the Needle, the ANC clearly identifies that contracts to commercial companies is a big thing. And some companies identify ANC members that they can promote in ANC structures and into government. So now you've diagnosed the problem, you know that this is a problem, then why haven't you fixed it ever since then?
Well, you can say that again, but there are a few things that we must put on the table is the context. I mean, first, we should expect that money will always play a role in politics, and we don't have a problem with that. But the problem is when money begins to unduly influence policy, because when it does that, then the notion that says the people shall govern becomes only meaningless. Then the second issue is that these discussions arises out of a report by the public protector, which suggests that the president may have deliberately misled Parliament. And the emails have emerged almost suggesting that that statement that he made of saying, I decided to cocoon myself from knowing.
Yeah, and kept in the dark.
I was kept in the dark. So the emails begins to suggest that that may not be true. So one must always look at that context, that they emerge right now. But the question that you are raising is that to what extent can we say those who pay the piper plays the tune? To what extent does it apply here? Remember, we have the former president who is facing, who is being prosecuted because he allegedly received some monies in return of favors that he was going to give once he became a president.
Yeah.
So here you have a president who was also running and being given money. So if that was considered to be corrupt then this will also be considered to be corrupt.
But isn't the difference here that we don't know what those people want in return?
No, it doesn't.
Or we don't even have the allegation doesn't arise that this is what we know these people wanted in return, whereas with former President Jacob Zuma, we know that in return this is what was needed, it was the political protection that was needed.
Yeah, I think what is important is that issue that we say we do not know, but there is no free lunch in society and in real life. But what is also important is that if you hold the view that people were generously given, and these are honorable people, and you have also run your campaign on the basis of transparency and openness and clean government, the question that arises, why are you so concerned that these good people, honorable people who donated, if they get known, it becomes a problem? Could it be that some of them may not be as honorable as we make out to be? But also, as your guests say, to what extent are some of these people who are based elsewhere who are going to capture the state, and they have already prepaid in terms of what that paragraph says, that there'll be some who will try to influence the appointments or elections of certain people so that they can have access to those to business in government. So those are the issues. So if you run and you want to talk about turning the page, and therefore you talk about transparency, then you should not be, it is argued that you should not be running to the courts to say, let this information not be seen. Because when you do that, you are also saying, I cannot entrust this responsibility of knowing to the people who voted for me. Only a few should know. So that begins to almost unravel the message that you've been trying to put across, that my government is going to be very different. We are going to be transparent. We are going to be clean. So you would have thought that even those who donated, given that the stakes are high, given the fact that the opposition is going to make a meal out of this, those will come and say, well, I've donated. But then you also have to look at to what extent have those people been provided with positions, appointments, lucrative tenders. So those are the issues. And when you become less transparent about it, their concerns are going to linger on. You are going to end up having what people call a prepaid president. And it will be very important for President Ramaphosa to make sure that he walks the path, he walks the talk.
Yeah. Someone was saying on Twitter this morning that could it not be, that the president said, keep me in the dark, I don't want to know who the donors are, that even this time around, with him saying the courts must seal that information, is that I still don't want to know about it. I still don't want to know who the donors are.
Look, I think the narrative that is becoming dominant is a predetermined narrative of the elite within the factions of the ANC, of which I think we need to have a kind of a paradigm shift, because once we really submit ourselves to this elite discussion of either or, and now we are equal because you are corrupt and you have been saying now I am corrupt and so everyone is corrupt. I think we are running a danger where we are going to normalize corruption in our country, to say because everyone is dirty and so no one is dirty. I think the fact of the matter that we have to start to discuss as South Africans is to accept that the political elite, as well as the apartheid elite, that include the what we call it white monopoly capitalist, to a certain extent, they have covenant. And that covenant is to betray the hopes and the aspiration of the dispossessed. Because at the end of the day, if you look, both the political elite, regardless of Ace or of Cyril, as well of Ramos or of Oppenheimer, there is a point of convergence amongst them. And in that point of convergence, the people who are at the receiving end are those who are dispossessed.
Quickly, Professor Ben Chirok argues that there's been the Americanization of ANC's internal electoral processes. And I wonder whether the ANC is able to actually fix that. And what does fixing it actually mean? What shape does it take? There was the electoral college that was introduced. Well, at least the resolution was adopted at the Polokwane conference. Where is it?
Look, you have to understand that the ANC is a living entity. And so there are also laws of nature, like the dialectics, to say there is the beginning and there is an end. I think as South Africa, a living society, we have to question ourselves that this agency that needs to propel us to another level in terms of humanity and in terms of our liberation is still relevant, because this entity has gave us Jacob Zuma, of which even before Jacob Zuma, the way people were saying Thabo Mbeki was not supposed to be the president of the country as well as the president of the ANC. And after that, they were saying, yay, we have Jacob Zuma. This is the relevant person. But after that, same people were saying, no, he's not supposed to. And then it was Cyril. And now I'm contemplating that the same product, the same machinery is going to give us Didi Mabuza. And where are we going as the country? That's the question that we have to ask ourselves, that is this agency still relevant for us to move forward?
Where do we go as a country? Professor Siepe as well as Xolani Dube, thank you guys so much for your time. When we come back, spinners and spanners.